Hey, good morning, Facebook. It's been a few days past the Trayvon Martin trial, or I should say a few days have passed since we've gotten the juror's decision. And there's an area that is never really talked about between the races. When I mean races, I mean races of people, between black, white, Hispanic. And I want to address that gray area. Because there's a lot of good people whom we all disagree, even amongst the same races. For instance, I have a lot of good friends that are Hispanic. I have a lot of good friends that are white. I have a lot of good friends that are black. I know this all sounds cliche, but I just have to say that I have a lot of good friends, but we just have this area that we disagree with. Some of my good friends that are black and family members will refuse to discuss anything about this, almost turning a blinded eye, and they want to also pretend and believe that discrimination doesn't exist. And they're within our own race, and they're good people, and you get frustrated because you're a person that has your eyes open and is always aware of the subtleties, and I do mean subtleties, of racism. It's very subtle. It's never quite profound. It's never blunt. It's almost never blunt. It's almost never quite profound. It's every once in a while it rears its ugly head and it becomes very obvious. And even then, when it's obvious, we want to pretend it's something else. This trial was obvious to me. There was racial tension in this trial, but we tried to ignore it. But then we see post-trial, after this trial, that's all we're talking about. It's because it's there. It was the elephant in the room that we want to pretend it doesn't exist. These jury members, I was watching the one jury member who was brave enough to come out, obviously in the darkened, blackened face. She wasn't going to show her face, and say where their mindsets was. Well, it's not even a surprise that her mindset was there, because I just said a little bit about black people even denying the existence, or that it exists, or that it's even a power. Now let's get to my white good friends, such as this lady who was on the juror, who was like, oh, I think George Zimmerman, I don't care who would have been walking down the street, I think he would have reacted the same. I strongly beg to differ. Had it been someone of another race, had it been a white young boy walking down the street and the results all the same, George would be in jail right now. Point blank, George would be in jail right now had that been a white young man with a hoodie on, walking home with a bag of Skittles and some Arizona iced tea. I'm 1,000% sure of that. 1,000% sure. We can pretend. That's been the problem with America for years, is that we just want to pretend it doesn't exist, because we don't want to make our good friends uncomfortable. We don't want to make our good, hardworking, strong, confident black people, who some of us want to pretend we're not even black. We don't want to offend them, so we pretend. We don't want to hurt our good white people who have good hearts, who just refuse to see that it exists, and they're always, no, it doesn't exist. Our Hispanic people who work hard to have a certain image, to be proper, to, we all do, all of us esteem to want to be a certain way, and some of us just esteem we're just regular people. But however, there's this gray area where we don't want to hurt the feelings of our good people. I have neighbors that just feel like, Trayvon Martin had a little bit of a bad image. And I keep hearing people talking about the weed smoking, that right now weed is in many states legal. Just like prohibition, alcohol used to be illegal. Well, now in some states, weed is legal. So how does that make him a bad kid? There are lawyers, white lawyers, black lawyers, Hispanic lawyers, Hispanic professionals, black professionals, white professionals that smoke weed. I don't even smoke weed. I don't care for it. But I know people who are in white collar jobs who smoke weed. So we want to use that, his background of having some weed in his background, as a, well, we took some scum off the streets. It's not right. It's not right. But back to this gray area of good white folk, good black folk, good Hispanic folk, and any other race of people. I don't want to exclude anyone. My frustration is with these good folk, because these good folk, we try to, we say there's two sides, but where do we put these good folks who refuse to believe that prejudice and racism even exists? We refuse to use it at any factor. Now, I'm not saying use race as an excuse to fail, which some do. I don't think many do. We want to say that everyone uses that as an excuse. It's a fact. God has blessed me to be somewhat successful. No, I'm not a millionaire. No, God has blessed me with a nice house, a nice home, nice family. And I didn't get it through any welfare system. I got it from hard work. God blessed me with my real estate license. My wife is almost has her degree, but even though she doesn't, she has a great management job, making good money. We were both in real estate making good money. So I don't use that as an excuse. You can't throw that on me. But because I've been a little successful, I'm still not in denial that racism doesn't exist. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm successful, I'm all right, racism doesn't exist. No. I've excelled and succeeded despite being profiled, despite being discriminated against, despite the first time people look at me, they assume they have more than I do, or they know more than I do because I'm black. I've exceeded despite that, and I love everyone, but I'm getting tired of pretending to my good friends whom I love. You guys can stay and keep your head in the sand all you want. It exists. It's not a figment of our imaginations. If we take the time to look at our history, the history of this country was built on racism. It was built on profiling. It was built on the mindset and thought that I am better than you because I have this color skin and you have this color skin. It's a fact, people. Let's stop pretending. These 6 jurors are on the jury, and all they saw was a scary monster of a black boy. And they, even though George Zimmerman had a loaded gun, they viewed Zimmerman as the victim because of this black young boy who they did not see as a black young boy. They saw him as a thug, which he wasn't a thug. They saw him as a street gang. He was far from being a thug. If you want to see a thug, you need to go to LA. You need to go in these ghettos. He was not a thug. Matter of fact, I have sons with his demeanor and his decor, and they're good people. Yeah, he had a couple of scuffs in his background, but he was far from a thug. But that's exactly what that jury assigned and ascribed him to be, was a thug. So it's just another thug off of the street. Again, back to the gray area. I have good friends that it's very troubling for them not to even grasp the concept that racism exists. Prejudice exists. Prejudice is simply prejudging someone. We all have a certain amount of prejudice in us. We prejudge, we assume a person is a certain way. Racism, a person can be prejudiced and their mind be changed when they meet that person and they meet and see that person's character and contents. That's prejudice. We all have prejudice. Racism is, I don't care how nice the person is. I don't care if they just saved some of my family members. They have the wrong color skin. I hate them. That's racism. I don't care what your content or your character is. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how sweet you are to old ladies, or how you greet me with the greatest greeting in the world. I still hate you because your color. I don't care what. That's racism. So we interchange these words, prejudice and racism, when we need to get the definition of these right. But anyway, I've been long-winded. I have more to say, but this is the way I'm going to get it out. And if you've taken the time to watch my video, I appreciate it. Please feel free to comment. Keep it clean. Keep it honest if you do comment. And remember, I may 100% disagree with you, but I still love you, and there's no need for us to not continue to coexist and love each other and just move on. There's no need for that. But I am not the one you're going to run into that's going to pretend and just brush it off and not talk about it. Those days are done. I used to do that growing up. It used to frustrate me to go around dociling myself down so someone won't be intimidated. Those days are done. I'm not doing that anymore. If you don't love me, and you don't see my heart, and you don't see the pure content of my heart, that's on you. That's something wrong with you, not me. If I have to go around and prove to you that I'm a good guy, who are you? You prove to me you're a good person. You prove to me you're a good person. Why? Because I'm a black man. Should I have to go around proving and being docile and talking lowly and have my head down and not be confident so you can feel better about me? That's ridiculous. I refuse to do it anymore. Again, I love everyone. I do. It sounds cliche, but I love everyone. But I'm not going to pretend racism doesn't exist. I'm not going to pretend prejudice doesn't exist. It existed in this trial, and had all the figures in this trial been changed, Zimmerman been Leroy, and Trayvon Martin been Jason, and the police department had come, we would see an entirely different result right now. I'm 1,000% sure of it. Anyway, I have more to talk about later. Thank you for listening. That's all I have to say for right now. I always have a lot to say. I talk a lot, but I try to talk about something that matters and it touches the heart. Anyway, we'll talk later. Bye-bye.